Hi, everyone. I'm joining you live today on both Instagram and I'm wearing a black top. I'm so not used to wearing black as my, like, with a, what do you call this? Collar. But anyhow, today is Friday. Happy Friday. So I'll be on YouTube with you as well as on my Instagram. So I hope some of you join me for the topic of discussion today, which is gold. And I just thought, as we move forward in 2025, as I move forward in 2025, I want to focus more on discussions around building wealth, your financial wealth, your financial literacy. And so, what a better way to do it than expose you to different asset classes, different types of methods to build wealth, and of course, gold historically has been something that we've all either owned ourselves or have heard and are witness to, or our family and parents over time have been witness to the different periods of time where you've seen that gold rush, right? So today's discussion is to focus on the topic of gold, and I'm actually wearing my gold earrings, gold necklace, and I'm sure many of you can appreciate and love gold. I know it's been in lately silver for many years, and gold has been sort of pushed aside, but that isn't always reflected in actual life and value, right? Gold is still a much more valuable asset and has always outperformed silver. So is gold the shiny investment it's made out to be? And that's our topic of discussion today. We're going to talk about why it's, what's happening, why it's happening, and whether it's the right thing for you. No matter what is in sort of in today, there are some things that just transcend time and are around for forever and ever. And so before we start our conversation, even though I don't necessarily see anyone engaged here right at this moment, I want you to still think about this when you're watching this at a later time. Tell me, have you ever considered investing in gold? Outside of buying and wearing, the pieces that we own, and many people, many cultures across the world and globe value gold. So even if in North America here, it's been out for some time in terms of where and what we see people using. I actually see it making a big comeback, and you can see that in what we're going to discuss shortly. But have you ever considered buying and investing in gold? And why would you, or why maybe won't you do it? Think about it, because I've been thinking about it a lot more, which is why I thought it would be a perfect opportunity to make this part of my live today. Let me just turn this a little so that bright light, because it just feels, as much as the sun is out today, I'm choosing the wrong room to do my live from today. So let's look at the context. I think when we think of gold, it's been such a big part of our history. And, from the Klondike gold rush to its modern day appeal, it's always been something that has been, a huge piece of our history, huge piece of where people end up or want to monopolize and take over, parts when it's discovered or it's realized that gold exists in certain parts of the world. All of a sudden, it's become a space and a place that everyone wants to have access to. So I think that, history has shown that, gold is definitely something of huge value historically, from thousands of years ago to the last century, right, and to the current century. And so, if we think of the 2024 year, the performance of gold thus far this year has been 21%. So it's absolutely a valuable a valuable way to invest and gain returns and have your money work for you or generate wealth and create wealth today and for future generations. So I asked the question, why or why not? And you really need to start thinking about why wouldn't you, or why you would want to, invest in gold if you haven't as yet, or if you haven't thought about it. So I do think, the cost per US dollar is high, but so are so many other stocks. I mean, I bought some stocks in companies like Google and Tesla, Amazon, and I only bought them when they were splitting and severing, because some of the prices were way up in the 2,000, $3,000 per share range. Thank you. Finally, the volume just dropped because my fan in my house went off. But it isn't easy for each of us to buy a whole coin or a whole share, depending on the value. But you can still invest what you can, $25, $100. It still all grows, you know. Now, some of the driving factors that have been pushing and creating the increased cost in gold and the huge return that we've seen in this, just in the 2024 calendar year, is that the central banks have increased their purchases. And I mean, where banks and big companies or big market drivers invest or put their money, absolutely can swing a product or a company's shares in a huge upswing, right? Or even alternatively, if they're pulling out and are not investing, it could cause a down. So I think the fact that banks have been increasing their purchases in gold, we see certain economic uncertainty across the globe, such as what's been going on since the pandemic, and even maybe in the last 2 years here with the high interest rates, the recession that we're all living through. I do feel like all of those things definitely has had an effect on all our investments, but absolutely gold being one of the ones we're talking about today. And then it's also always been used as an inflation hedge. And so it's another factor, right? Investor sentiment and geographical events across is also things that we'll see that will continue and have been affecting the price increase in gold, right? And as I said, as soon as it's discovered that there's a surplus or there is period gold in an area, we can kind of see huge, the radars of certain countries, certain individuals just go up and light up, and they're like wanting to have control or dominance in those areas. So we definitely can see that in general, all markets and all products and services, and especially our, North America, it's absolutely affected by whatever is going on politically, as well as geographically. And so geopolitical, forces will definitely impact gold, and it has been. So time for you to think further. Thank you, PJ Kylie, for joining. Thank you for coming in and listening. And really, this is another point in which I'm asking you again to think, why do you think people are turning to gold? Why is it becoming such an interest? It's always been an area of interest in what people have always looked for over time, but why has it peaked in the last year here? I mean, anyone for suggestions, I'm always happy to hear. And if you're not here on the call and you're thinking about it after, you want to communicate with me, please just DM and tell me. But I think some of the factors include, as I mentioned already, inflation, the fact that it's used as an inflation hedge. There's also right now the fear of market stability. These are factors that can absolutely be impacting why people are looking to gold. I mean, myself included. I don't want to keep all my assets, all my investments in just the traditional sources. And even the ones that I've been typically invested in, like real estate, I want to move some of my capital and my assets, what I own, into other ways, such as gold, to have my assets, right? So diversification's always been something that people want to, you want to consider and keep in mind. But I'm just giving you ways and alternatives to maybe what you traditionally think of, and places that you traditionally think to invest, like myself. In general, I've always invested with what I've known or what I've been introduced to. So I'm introducing you to something else to think about. It doesn't have to be something that you're instantly going to go and do. You might want to do some research, find out and talk to some more people, see if it makes sense for you. And so another reason why you might want to turn to gold is that the historical value. It's been around for forever. It's consistently shown that it's performed and continued to increase. It's sort of one of those stable assets or forces that you can sort of rely on, and it's always performed really well long term. So why not? It's another way to store your money or to keep your money. So I mean, if anyone has thoughts on that and want to share their ideas, I would love to hear. Um, Thanks, Paul, for joining. I just want to see. I try sometimes. I don't know why it won't let me see what you're saying, because I saw that you typed something in the chat, but I can't read it. Ugh, I love technology as I try to find it. Um, I'm just trying to see what you've said here, Paul, just to yeah, no, it won't let me pull up the screen so that I can take a look at that comment. Yeah, that's okay. Maybe in a moment it will let me read the comments. Usually I can see the comment, but for some reason I can't see it here. So I think, in terms of thinking outside the box and thinking of ways to invest, this is another alternative. If we continually do what we know and what we're familiar with, we can find ourselves limiting our options and limiting the opportunity to have greater gains or growth. Right? I'm not by any means giving any advice on what you should do and shouldn't do. I'm just giving you ways to think and what to think about, right? So is gold always a good investment? I own it. I wear it. You might own and wear it. I have gold that has been passed along. And so, when I think of assets and I think of legacy, I love the fact that anything that creates has value and I can pass along or, give to my children is a great legacy piece, right? And so is it good? It's going to be up to you to decide. But some of the pros is, again, it definitely has and has been and continues to be used as an inflation hedge. It has intrinsic value. It has value to me because I love it. I wear it. I've had this stuff for forever. To me, forever could be 30 plus years, which is a long time. And I have a lot of gold that I've kept over the years, and gold that has been passed to me from time from my mom and from my mom and dad. So I think that that makes it a value to me as well, right? It's personal, and it's something that carries sentimental value. It's easy to liquidate, I would say. Maybe even easier to liquidate than real estate, right? For me, I own real estate, and I love that real estate has helped me built a large asset base. But I do find that it's not easy to liquidate. If I want to sell it today or tomorrow, I could try, but it's likely that it will take me weeks to maybe months to actually transact and complete that sale. So it's not as easily liquidated as gold, right? Real estate takes a lot longer. And you know I think real estate is a pretty good asset to have and hold long term, and we can see historically as well real estate has done well. But we're not trying to limit ourselves. We're trying to open up, the options that we can have when we invest, when we are thinking to invest. And so it's also stable in fairly uncertain times. I mean, I feel that the last 2 years has been, and maybe even 5 years have been challenging and uncertain times, but gold has soared and done really well in the last year here. And so, you want to be able to, when I think of assets going forward, I want to buy and invest in and or have assets that can endure a pandemic, that can, endure a recession, maybe even a possibly, I don't haven't experienced it as yet, but others have in their lifetime, a depression. So, you want to think of things that can last through very challenging world and geographical, economical challenges. And I think that gold is one of those things, right? And it's something I've been talking more about with some of my business partners and friends. And so here is the discussion today, right? So that you can start thinking about it. Some of the cons, I mean, there's always pros and cons to everything, right? So some of the reasons why you may not want to invest in gold, or it may be challenging, is that it doesn't generate income. And I'll tell you right now, for me and most real estate investors, income is premium. So we call it cash flow, right? Cash flow is premium. And cash flow has been challenging in the last 2 years with the high interest rates and the markets. The real estate values have, softened or even dropped, especially different sectors of the real estate market. And so you have to think about that with respect to gold. Like, if you are investing, especially if you're putting a large sum of it, are you expecting income? Because it won't easily provide that for you. There's there's no dividends, or earnings that you can realize without having to sell those units, right? So if you're looking for income, not the greatest method to do that. You might want to limit how much you put into something like gold. The price and volatility is definitely driven by sentiments, emotions, what's going on, what people feel and think, right? So that's not always ideal, because when emotions or sentiments can drive a market, it can have huge ups as well as huge downs, right? And so if you're doing it for the long term, you're probably good. And we always recommend, when you're investing, to invest for the long term, right? It doesn't make sense to put your money into most investments with a short term period. And if you're doing it for a short term, then make it something that is fairly stable, and a reliable source that isn't affected by sentiments. Let's see now, maybe if I can see that. Okay, I waved at you. That's all it said. So I love Instagram. I love social media. But yes, so so the so two reasons. It can't generate income is a con. It also doesn't fare well with emotional, different people's emotional, or different emotional feelings. Like right now, I think a lot of the market and a lot of markets are driven by what's going on politically. And so, yeah, you want to make sure that you're choosing investment products that you're willing to stay the course, stay the long term. And I think long term, I would say, is definitely maybe 3-5 years or more, right? The historical underperformance, the stability in uncertain times is definitely the third factor. And you don't necessarily, did I say, sorry, the last con is that it's historical underperformance is compared to stocks. And I think I'm going to get to that in a moment. I'm going to talk about how stocks have performed historically, and it's definitely outperformed gold. So you're not investing and choosing gold as the only method to generate wealth, or to build your assets or your future legacy. You're using it as one of many, right? If I can make a recommendation, as I said, diversification. You're not ever trying to do one method of investing and putting all your money there, right? That's not the ultimate and best way, maybe for a limited period of time. But if you look at the last 5 years plus, if you were in any one area, you might have suffered a lot. Like, for example, even in real estate, one of the things that I've realized is I've never been a big investor in condos, but maybe around 2020, I'd invested in a couple, and of course, they were brand new constructions, and they didn't close until recent. So, guess what's happened with condos recently? There's been a saturation. There's so many condos that many of them are not able, like new constructions, are not able to finish or close, or as they finish and close, the price of the units that you bought many years ago is definitely down compared to, when you bought it. 3, 4, 5 years ago. So condo has been one of the asset classes in real estate that's taken a bit of a beating. And not to say that it's not a good investment still, just may not be the principal place that you want to put all your money in real estate. You might want to put it in multiple classes or multiple products in real estate. So multifam, maybe commercial, and I would be, wary of commercial as well, because I don't think that commercial retail is greatest in times of a pandemic. We saw how many people had to stay at home, and we had restrictions on, our ability to go out, unless you were a business that was really in demand and in need, such as, grocery stores, and, if you were a restaurant or office space, you probably were fairly underused during that time. So you want to think of, gold in a similar manner. Like, does it make sense? What are the pros that can benefit me? And if those pros fit my needs, and I can invest in it. But if you need liquidity, maybe, you're going to choose to buy gold over real estate, right? Or have a bit of both, maybe a little bit in each. If you're looking for cash flow, maybe not gold. It all depends on what we're looking for. Right now, for me, I would limit what I would put into gold, because I'm looking for cash flow. With those market changes in the last 2 years with interest rates, it's been really tough to continue having cash flowing properties where I once had them. When the interest rates went up, a lot of my mortgages also went up, and went up substantially. So you have to think about gold from a perspective, for you, like, does it make sense for an individual? Like, if you're an entrepreneur and you're looking for income, maybe it's something you wait before you invest in. So does the idea of holding gold for stability appeal to you? Because if it does, it could be a good investment. Or do you prefer to invest in it for its growth potential? I mean, that's one of the reasons I would put money into it. Plus, I don't want all my assets all in real estate or all in banks or stocks. So I'm looking for different places to invest, so that I can have and take advantage of, different asset classes, as well as just take advantage of diversification. Right. So let me know why are you looking for stability, and does that appeal to you? Or are you thinking that you want the growth potential, and that's what appeals to you more in terms of gold? And let's see here. I wanted to share some of the numbers. So, I mean, in terms of the performance, gold has, over the last decade, has performed 143% return, which is still substantial. But when you compare it to the S&P 500, maybe not so great, right? The S&P 500 has performed 1,091%. So again, I'm just giving you options. I'm not saying that gold is not a good strategy for long term, but a decade is a substantially long period of time. And so if you're looking to gain, real strong growth, especially, like, say you're in your 50s and you're trying to do, sort of take advantage of getting as much money set aside to have for retirement, you may limit how much, you put into gold compared to maybe investing in the stock market, or investing in, a great portfolio that could, one that I can't advise you on right now, but a great portfolio that can give you the great returns that you might need to realize in the next 10 to 15 years pre-retirement, right? So I think that, I love the fact that it's a great asset. It's got great stability. It's, I wear it, I use it. I love gold, always have. And it's something I can pass on to my children, but I'm just not sure how much of holding gold, physical, investments in gold, I would put, right? It's just an option. But because jewelry is not the only way to invest in gold, you can invest in the coins, the bullion, you can invest in These are all ways that you can accumulate assets and wealth that you can pass on, right? So it could be maybe a small portion of your portfolio. The other way to invest in gold is through gold securities like ETFs and funds, right? So if you have someone that you can get great advice on and they can lead you down the right path to what would make sense for you in your portfolio, you can find some great assets that you don't have. It's not, to me, investing is not about doing it myself alone. It's about getting advice from experts and individuals that can lead me to make the right decisions, because anytime I don't do it with an expert, I'm very, very regretful. And where I've learned how to do things well in real estate, I would say that I'm not so great at it when it comes to crypto, or maybe even choosing certain stocks. But I have access to people and experts that I would rely on, that I can call on for helping make those decisions. So you can also invest through mining stocks, right? So those are, different companies have access to that. Again, not something that I can speak as an expert to or advise on, but just know that there's different ways to invest in gold and to maybe take small portions of and that's providing that you have, disposable and or investments already that you want to maybe diversify further. Gold is one of the options that you can consider. So remember when I said that, there's pros and cons. I think that when you think of the pros and cons of how to invest in gold, I absolutely would recommend finding an expert. One of the individuals that I've been trying to meet with in the last 2 weeks, and I told him, I'm going to leave it into the new year now. He feels that he can lead me to making really great decisions about investing as a financial planner. And so I'm like, yeah, I would love to hear more about it. So if I get some great insights as to how I can do that and do that well with an expert, I will absolutely share that in the new year and ask him to join me on a live or a call. So some pros. One of the things about gold is it's tangible. As I said, it's something that you can touch, you can hold, you can pass on. You have, most of us wear some level of gold, or many cultures value gold substantially through, generations. It's stuff that we pass on or that we gift to people. So let's think about how we could get the knowledge that we need to maybe make decisions about whether investing in gold could be something valuable to us, or even if it's in small amounts. Just this week alone, my daughter she keeps talking to me about crypto, which has been great. I've done some crypto and done well in crypto as well. I would say with advice, I can do well. Without it, I have no idea what to do because I'm not that knowledgeable on crypto. But she just took a small amount, put it in, and within the last week, she's seen it go up. And so I would say even a small amount, it doesn't matter. To buy one unit is 2,500 USD. That's pretty expensive. So if you're thinking of, I have 25 or 100 or, $200, that's how you start. A small amount, and you kind of add and go up in increments. Because I think, honestly, I've been saying she's my second child, and I've been asking her for about the last 3 years since she's been working to invest just small amounts, and she didn't, and she regrets. So I would say to you, after listening, and especially if someone is advising and giving you some insights based on their own experience, positive experience that they've had, that they're saying, do it. I think small amounts, right? She's just started in small amounts in her crypto wallet and has seen it already grow in a short period of time. And so you can do the same, just a small amount invested. And it could be even systematically doing it every month, or doing it every quarter or every year. And over a period of time, you could see it grow. Now, if you're in your 50s already, small amounts may not be enough to help you save for retirement, but at least you can start the good habit of just doing those small amounts, and then see how you can increase and the increments in not just gold, but all the investments that you're trying to build for your future or your retirement. So I think what the numbers that I loved was just the fact that 143% in gold, over 1,091% in the S&P 500. So you're not going to rule out doing, stocks and shares within companies as well, because they have performed and outperformed gold. But I think, when we think of all the periods across, history that gold has peaked, there's been many times. And if you're already invested, those peak performances will just allow you, at least for me, to have access to taking out some of the earnings, right? Because I'm not just about saving all for the future. My goal today is to save and have some of the future be right now, so that I can use some of the income or some of the return that it generates as income for myself. So what role should gold play in your life? Well, I think that it's great to use it, as I said, as a hedge, and maybe not just for the primary purpose of growth, right? So that's why you're going to maybe start in smaller increments rather than large ones. And how much? Well, it all depends on how much money you have, right? If you have, like my daughter, a small amount, maybe just hundreds. If you have access to a larger, disposable income, or a larger income, or assets that you want to reallocate, then you can do larger sums. But I don't think that it's up to me or anyone in particular to share and tell you what to do. I think you have to kind of decide what amount makes sense for you and fits your own personal circumstances. I just feel for anything that we do in terms of investing, I start small and kind of, grow and increase the increments over time. I think one of the first books that I read was The Wealthy Barber, and it was just that, start with, maybe 10%, and then, increase it to 12. And each year you maybe just up it a little. The older you are, the more you want to start, increasing those amounts faster. And of course, the younger you are, like my daughter, who's maybe 21, she has lots of time, so that if she just starts to implement some of the principles that she's learning right now and that I'm sharing with her, she'll be golden. Even probably by 30 something, she'll have a large sum of money, right? No one's going to retire in their 30s, but to just have life choices that she can make, maybe invest and buy in a property or travel, any of those good things that young people like to do. So some final thoughts. Gold can definitely be a great addition to a balanced portfolio. It's not like the only way to invest or the best way to invest. It's just one of, and I think it could be could make a great part of someone's portfolio. At least that's my perspective. And for myself, when I'm looking at other ways to create assets and have valuable assets over time, gold is just one of the ways that I would put money, and not have it all sitting in banks or in real estate, assets that are affected by, different markets and different, and even, taxation. One of the things that I'm trying to reduce is my tax, the way that I'm taxed. And so, finding ways to invest, to reduce tax liabilities, not to imply that gold is that best way, but I'm just saying that I'm looking for tax strategies, right? To reduce how much I give away to the government. So let's recap where we've explored gold today in terms of its current surge in the last year here. 21% increase is substantial. We talked about some of the pros and cons, ways to invest in gold, from jewelry to, ETFs and funds. It's clear that while gold can be a valuable, asset to have, it's not without challenges, and it may not be the best way depending on what you're looking for. I'm looking right now for cash flow and cash producing investments. Gold is not that. If you're looking for ways to, hedge against, inflation and stuff, then it's a great asset class to invest in. So thank you very much to those of you that have joined. My goal is really just to spend more time in 2025 building everyone's knowledge in financial services and financial literacy. I've focused in the last few years mostly on real estate, but my goal going forward is to not just bring to you real estate knowledge, and ways to invest, but investing in all the different classes and ways that you can create wealth for yourself, including businesses. And so my goal is to partner with some people in 2025 that will bring their expertise here so that they can speak to stuff that I'm not as knowledgeable about or I may not have done as yet, and can bring that knowledge to you. So thank you everyone for joining me. It is Friday and I hope it's a happy one. I love it. It's sunny outside, freezing cold, but sunny outside. And maybe this year, I'm here in Toronto in the GTA, but next year around this time, other than coming for Christmas, I expect to be in some warm, sunny destination. So take care, everyone. Have a fantastic weekend. If any of you are joining us tomorrow for our launch, it's in Brampton, 13 Calla Road. You do have to register. The link is in my bio, and you can register to join us at that event. We'll have entertainers, people singing, reading poetry that they've written, baking. And so it'll be a really fun day or fun afternoon with our photographer capturing some memories and photos and stuff for us. I'm looking forward to meeting some of you. So please join us if you can. That's tomorrow. But otherwise, have a fantastic weekend and see you Monday when I'm back here live at 6 and on wealth building and real estate, my Facebook group as well. So take care, everyone. Bye.